proximity to each other, increased risk of internal instability. Now, a lot of this is due to ancient rivalries, of course, ethnic, religious, and political grievances that go back a long time, but all of this is going to be exacerbated by the flow of oil revenues, because in almost all of oil and natural gas, because in virtually all of these countries, as I said before, the control of oil and gas revenues or rents are controlled by the state. In almost all of these countries, the state is controlled by a former Soviet apparatchik government, which has become self-perpetuating from father to son, or father to daughter, perhaps, in Kazakhstan, but certainly you're seeing dynasties being established or within a very close-knit faction or clique in which a few close cronies, we call it crony capitalism, benefit friends, cousins, nephews of the leader, benefit from immense wealth. Virtually everyone else is excluded. Tremendous corruption in all of them. The vast majority of the population excluded from the benefits of all of this oil or natural gas wealth flowing into these countries. This is a perfect recipe for either radical political movements or the kind of discontent we saw in Georgia a week or so last week, or for the rise of Islamic fundamentalism. And we can only expect more of that in the future. A perfect recipe for escalating internal violence. These countries could explode at any time. So the question is how, with all of these military forces, how are they going to react? What's going to happen down the line? Will the Americans and the Russians and the Chinese coordinate their response, or will they take opposite sides in future conflicts? Very hard to say. The Russians, if there's remember, many of these conflicts are frozen. The conflict between Georgia and Abkhazia and South Ossetia is frozen. There's no permanent political settlement. Russian troops are in both of those places, and their leaders of the two breakaway areas claim that they want to unite with Russia, not with Georgia. Georgia says we want to reclaim them for Georgian territory. They're backed by the United States. Nagorno-Karabakh, the Armenian enclave in Azerbaijan, backed by Russia, whereas Azerbaijan is backed by the United States, and with its oil wealth has begun buying arms. Will the Azerbaijanis try to reclaim Nagorno-Karabakh? The Armenians seize some Azerbaijan territory. Any of these conflicts could explode and lead inadvertently to a clash between American and Russian forces. And this, as I say, is the kind of situation that led to World War I and the Balkans. So this is my nightmare scenario, and so I go around saying that we have to free ourselves from our addiction to petroleum, in particular petroleum, and look for alternative sources of energy. And so far, this is largely falling on deaf ears in my country, but I do believe, and I wish I could communicate in China, but I don't have that option. But certainly in the United States, I try very hard, and more people are listening, but not inside the Beltway. We really have got to move away from petroleum because of the fact that what's left of the world's petroleum is exclusively found in areas of instability and conflict. None of it is in nice, safe places like the Netherlands and Norway. And so finding alternatives to petroleum and consuming a lot less of it, in my mind, is the most important foreign policy task of the United States today. So I'll stop there. I hope that this little microcosm of one part of the world in which Europe has a real stake will spark some more questions and comments from you. Thank you.